Mom, please help me. My daughter's voice trembled through the phone, breaking into a sob. Just 3 months after her wedding, she stood on my doorstep in the dead of night, and my heart sank as I opened the door. What had happened? Her face was swollen and bruised, a shocking transformation that left me speechless. As she recounted her harrowing experience, a surge of anger coursed through me. How could someone betray their promise to make her happy? The thought ignited a fierce desire for vengeance against those who had harmed my precious daughter. I'm Linda, 50 years old, a single mother who raised Emma on my own after our divorce when she was just a child. Despite her reserved nature, Emma possesses an indomitable spirit and an incredible work ethic. Her relentless determination earned her a job at her dream company, a testament to her resilience. Emma has always been my beacon of hope, inspiring me to push through even the darkest moments. So, when she said, "There's someone I want you to meet," I felt a flutter of excitement in my chest. The man she introduced me to was Jack, a dashing figure in a well-tailored suit, 7 years her senior and working for one of their client companies. He greeted me warmly, and at first glance, he appeared serious and sincere. "I'm here to ask for your blessing to marry Emma," he stated almost immediately after his introduction. My heart raced. Emma was only 23, and they had been dating for a mere 6 months. I had anticipated simply meeting her boyfriend, and I was caught off guard. "Isn't it a bit early for such big decisions? You're both still so young," I gently tried to dissuade them. Jack straightened his posture, locking eyes with me. "I can't imagine my life without Emma. She's one of a kind," he said, his earnestness palpable. "Mom, please, we really want this," Emma chimed in, her eyes pleading. Seeing their shared determination, I felt a wave of support welling up inside me. Moved by their passion, I ultimately gave my blessing. "Thank you. I promise to make Emma happy," Jack exclaimed, a broad smile spreading across his face. Watching my daughter gaze at him with such joy filled my heart with warmth. But deep down, a flicker of unease lingered. Was I making the right decision? It felt too soon, but I reassured myself that all parents experience mixed feelings when their children marry. We met Jack's parents next, and everything seemed to flow smoothly toward the wedding. As only children, Jack and Emma were showered with love, and his parents, who had always wished for a daughter, adored her. "Mom, I'm considering moving in with Jack's parents after we're married," Emma said one day. While I appreciated that they liked her, the thought of her living with in-laws concerned me. "Are you sure about that? I've heard it can be quite challenging," I cautioned gently. "I get along great with them, and Jack will be there. I'll be fine," she reassured me. Knowing how well-loved she was, I decided to trust her judgment. Besides, their home was only a 20-minute drive away, allowing me to be there quickly if needed. As the wedding day came and went, Emma embarked on her new life with Jack. I thought she would be thriving, but a month later, something felt off. Her daily messages dwindled, and when I reached out, replies became scarce. Concerned but wanting to respect her space, I hesitated until I could no longer ignore my worries. I called her cell. "Hello?" To my surprise, it was Jack who answered. "Could I speak to Emma?" I asked, my heart racing. "She's in the bath. Don't worry, she's fine," he said, his voice soft yet dismissive. The lack of reassurance made me uneasy, and I hung up, still unable to hear my daughter's voice. Days turned into weeks with no sign of Emma. Finally, I decided to visit. Jack's mother had previously invited me to come anytime, so I took a trip to their home on the weekend. When I rang the intercom, Jack's mother answered curtly. "Emma isn't here, she's out with Jack." "I'm sorry for coming unannounced. Do you know when they'll be back?" I asked, trying to maintain politeness. "You should call first next time. I have no idea when they'll return," she replied with an exasperated sigh. Recognizing the truth in her words, I felt a pang of discomfort as I left, wondering if my worries were unfounded. Yet, the shift in their demeanor since the wedding lingered in my mind. After much deliberation, I reached out to Emma's workplace, hoping to hear her voice. My heart sank when they told me she had resigned, leaving abruptly and causing chaos at the company. It was impossible to believe my hard-working daughter would give up her dream job. We had cried tears of joy together at her achievement, and the thought of her abandoning it made no sense. Something is definitely wrong. What should I do? I thought, pacing the floor. Even if I went to Jack's house again, I had no idea what to expect. I wished they would let me see Emma, Just as I was considering calling the police, the incident unfolded. It was 2 days after I learned about my daughter's resignation when the doorbell rang in the dead of night. Who could it be at 2 a.m.? I wondered suspiciously, glancing at the intercom screen. It was dark, making it hard to see, but I thought I recognized the figure. I rushed to the door, heart racing, and opened it wide. "What happened? I've been so worried. I couldn't reach you," I exclaimed. "Mom, I'm so sorry." My relief at seeing her quickly morphed into shock. Emma stood there, her face almost unrecognizable, swollen and covered in bruises. "What on earth happened to you? You look terrible," I exclaimed, panic rising in my chest. For a moment, Emma trembled and sobbed while I rubbed her back, trying to soothe her without knowing what to say. When she finally spoke, her voice was shaky and filled with pain. She explained that everything changed immediately after the wedding. Jack's demeanor shifted drastically. "You're my wife now. You should serve us," he told her, treating her as if she were a servant. The horrific condition she was in was the result of Jack and his parents' abuse. I had suspected something terrible had happened when Emma had rushed to my house. As I absorbed the details of Emma's ordeal, a wave of fury washed over me. I didn't want to burden you with my feelings, but seeing my daughter in such distress ignited a fierce desire for revenge against those who had wronged her. I envisioned making them pay for their betrayal and for the pain they inflicted on my precious daughter. I vowed in my heart that Jack and his family would never escape the consequences of their actions. For now, I let Emma rest and decided to confront Jack's family. At dawn the next day, we first went to the hospital to have her injuries treated before driving to their home. As expected, chaos erupted when they noticed Emma was missing. "So you took her after all?" Jack's father barked angrily when he recognized my voice on the intercom. "Can you explain why Emma is in this condition?" I asked, my voice steady but stern. Unfazed by my question, Jack's mother quickly led us inside, casting furtive glances at the neighbors. The three of them hesitated for a moment but soon revealed their true colors. Jack's mother glared at Emma and sneered. "We were just disciplining her a bit. She wasn't pulling her weight around here." "What do you mean, Jack? Didn't you promise to make my daughter happy?" I shot back. "That promise came with conditions. She was supposed to fulfill her duties as a wife, but she was too busy with her job. That's why I submitted her resignation letter," Jack replied coldly. Emma hadn't quit willingly. Jack had done it without her knowledge. Tears streamed down her face as she explained that by the time she found out, it was too late. Jack resented her for working late, even though she was thrilled to be employed at her dream company. "That's not my concern. If she can't balance both, she has to quit," Jack retorted, as if he had done nothing wrong. "Exactly. The other day, it took her an hour just to make dinner. She can't manage a single household chore," Jack's father chimed in, joining the attack. My daughter trembled, and I felt my heart break for her. "Couldn't you have helped her, Jack's mother?" I asked, desperately. Jack's mother crossed her arms defiantly. "When I came here as a bride, I was made to do everything and told to learn through experience." "Right, it's all about generational change," Jack's father added, as if justifying their behavior. They nodded at each other, clearly believing they were in the right. Jack's mother had pushed all the household responsibilities onto Emma while doing as she pleased. Meanwhile, Jack's father, already retired, monitored Emma's every move, interfering with everything she did. They had even confiscated Emma's phone to keep her from contacting me. When I visited their home, they restrained her to prevent her from leaving. Emma had clung to the hope that Jack would change, that he would eventually support her despite the abuse, but that hope was crushed as her treatment grew worse. They made her eat leftovers, claiming it was wasteful to cook more, and restricted her water usage to a trickle for showers. When Emma finally spoke up, insisting that this treatment was unacceptable, it led to the horrific injuries she bore. In response to her objections, they slapped her hard, calling her insolent, and took turns beating her, determined to re-educate her. After enduring this nightmare, Emma escaped in the dead of night while they slept, walking over an hour to reach me, fearing for her life. How could they have treated her so cruelly after once doting on her? I couldn't comprehend it. As I confronted them, my voice rising with anger, the three of them exchanged glances and smirked. "From the start, I just wanted a wife who would obey me. Emma was meant to be my servant," Jack said nonchalantly, his mother nodding in agreement. "Well, she must have learned her lesson. Why don't we give her another chance?" Jack's father suggested, chuckling with his wife. Their laughter filled the room, and I felt the rage boil over within me. "I can't let this go," I shouted. Before I could respond further, Emma spoke out, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "How dare you speak to us like that?" As Jack lunged toward her, I swiftly restrained him, pinning him to the floor. He thrashed beneath me, his parents staring in shock at my quick movements. "I didn't mention it before," I said, maintaining my hold on Jack, "but I was on the verge of making it to the Olympics in wrestling when I was younger. An injury ended that dream." I tightened my grip, and Jack's struggles became more frantic as tears filled his eyes. When I finally released him, he slumped weakly on the floor. "How pathetic," I sneered, cracking my knuckles as I turned my attention to his parents. "Now, who's next?" "Please stop," they cried, huddling together and trembling with fear. "I sent my daughter off wishing for her happiness, but I will never forgive you for what you've done." My voice rang with a fierce determination that made them shrink back even further. "Jack, please divorce me," Emma echoed my intensity, brandishing the divorce papers before him. "What are you talking about? I absolutely won't divorce you," he spat, his face flushing crimson. "This morning, I took my daughter to the hospital and obtained a medical certificate for her injuries. I've also filed a police report. We are innocent in this, and we will fight this to the end," I stated firmly, locking eyes with each of them in turn. Panic washed over them as they began to sweat profusely, their expressions shifting to desperation as they cried, "Please stop, what about our reputation?" "I want a divorce as soon as possible," Emma declared, disgust evident in her tone. "I look forward to seeing what happens to you now. You'd better regret what you've done," I warned, my voice steady. With that, we gathered Emma's belongings and headed toward the entrance. "Wait," Jack's pitiful voice called out behind us, but Emma and I walked out of her in-laws' house without glancing back. The divorce was finalized swiftly, and Emma secured $50,000 in compensation from Jack. The police report was taken seriously, and all three of them were questioned. Although they were released shortly after, I learned that the police conducted a scene inspection at their home, igniting gossip throughout the neighborhood. They were now viewed with suspicion by everyone around them. When Emma confided in her former colleagues about the mistreatment she endured, the news reached Jack's workplace, where it spread like wildfire. Consequently, he was removed from the fast track to promotion, facing the consequences of his actions. Meanwhile, Emma focused on her healing, both mentally and physically. At our home, with time, she began to move forward, determined to find a new job that would honor her talents and hard work. As for me, my life was far from over. In fact, I had begun training again, reigniting my passion for wrestling and preparing to step back into the ring.